Don't let small minds talk you out of a God-sized assignment.
Welcome to the Nicole Curcio podcast, the show for women who want it all. Faith at the center, a strong and feminine body, deep family connections, and true freedom in their lives. I'm Nicole Curcio, a former medical insider turned fat loss and physique coach. I help high-performing women transform from the inside out, physically, mentally, and spiritually, without starving, obsessing, or burning out. Around here, we train with intention, eat with purpose, and build a life that reflects the woman you were created to be. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to the episode, guys. Today, we're going to talk about your future. Not just the next phase in your fitness journey, not just your next check-in or the next 5 pounds. I'm talking about the woman that you are actively becoming. The one you dream about when no one's around. The version of you that feels strong in her body, certain in her calling, and unapologetically bold about what she's building. Maybe it's building a coaching business. Maybe it's becoming a present, joy-filled mom who feels sexy in her own skin. Maybe it's becoming financially free, moving to a new city, traveling the world with your husband, or finally leaving the job that you hate. Or maybe, just maybe, you've started to whisper these dreams aloud, only to be met with blank stares, awkward silences, or maybe passive-aggressive pushback. Cuts deep. I've been there. I remember telling someone in my family, I'm not going to mention who it was, I told them that I wanted to leave the medical field, that I was going to join my husband in his coaching business so I can help women take their power back, transform their bodies, deepen their faith, and walk in confidence. And they looked at me and they said, if all else fails, you can always work at 7-Eleven. I wish I was joking. As if that dream was too big. As if this vision didn't matter. As if I wasn't capable of more. I laughed it off in the moment. But I remember exactly how that felt in my body. Like someone had seriously gut punched me, knocked the wind out of me. Like maybe they're right. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm asking for too much. And for a second, just a second, I started to think. I started to shrink. Power of those words. That's why this episode matters so much. There are 2 types of people in your life. They're either dream builders or they're dream killers. And whether you realize it or not, one of them is shaping your future. So let's start with the dream killers. I just told you about mine. But sometimes they're not so obvious. They don't always say, you'll never make it. Get a real job. No, they often say things like, that's not realistic. You're not that kind of person. Are you sure that's what God wants? It's a kicker. You always had a lot on your plate. Do you really want to add that much more? Must be nice to have money and time for something like that. Well, not everyone can do what she does. And the thing is, it sounds like concern, but it's fear. It's projection. It's someone else's limitations trying to sit on your calling like a stinking lid. And if you hear it enough from multiple people over and over again, you're going to start to believe it. You're going to stop dreaming so boldly. Maybe you're just going to stop dreaming altogether. You're going to stop taking so many risks. You're going to stop sharing your goals altogether because it hurts too much to feel minimized constantly. And worst of all, you're going to start questioning yourself. Questions like, am I being unrealistic? Are they right? Maybe I'm not cut out for all this. Who am I to think that I can do something so big? What if I fall and everyone was right about me? You know what? Maybe I should just be grateful for what I have and stop wanting more. What if I'm too old? What if it's too late? Am I too behind? What if I'm not special? What if I'm just delusional? And once those questions start to creep in, it's not long before that fire inside of you dies. Not because you didn't have what it takes, but because you started listening to the voices that were never meant to speak into your future. So let me ask you something. What's the dream you've been afraid to admit out loud? Is it launching your own business? Quitting your 9 to 5? Getting in the best shape of your life? Being the first person in your family to break generational poverty? Moving out of the country? Marrying someone who actually pursues you with Christ-like love? Writing a book, speaking on stages, becoming the example that your daughter can look up to and say, that's the kind of woman I want to be? What's the dream you've pushed down because it feels too big, too bold, too risky? Because you're afraid of being judged, mocked, misunderstood? I want you to feel the weight of this. The dream inside of you was planted on purpose. God gave it to you. That vision, that dream, that fire in your gut, not to be silenced, not to be shelved, but to be stewarded, to be nurtured, to be developed, to be walked out in obedience, even when it scares you, especially when it scares you. When no one claps. Even when the people who should understand don't. Because here's the hard truth. The wrong people in your life will make you bury what God asked you to build. They'll call it wisdom, but it's fear. They'll call it humility, but it's smallness. They'll call it just be content, when in reality, they have just settled. They'll say, that's too much, but what they mean is, that's too much for me. And tragically, it's often other Christians who say these things. And it's not because they're evil, but because they haven't tasted true freedom. Because they live in spiritual and financial survival mode. Because they don't know what it means to build something with God and finish it. They tell you to live within your means. But how can they teach you abundance when they've only ever known lack? They preach about giving, but they can barely pay their own bills. They talk about helping the poor, but they themselves are stretched thin. They want to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, build the kingdom, but how can they pour out when they've never truly been filled? You weren't called to be living a beggar's life, not spiritually, not emotionally, not financially. Jesus didn't die so you can scrape by. He came so you could have life and live it abundantly. So hear this loud and clear. You are not too much. Your dreams are not too big. Your vision is not worldly because it's excellent. And your desire to build something lasting is not selfish, it's stewardship. What God gave you is meant to grow, to bless, to multiply, to make room for others. Don't let small minds talk you out of a God-sized assignment. I will say that again. Do not let the small minds around you talk you out of a God-sized assignment. Your circle is either helping you rehearse your past or it's helping you build your future. Let me paint you a little picture. You tell your friends, I'm working on losing 20 pounds and getting lean for summer. And they say, you're already skinny. Don't become obsessed. You need to live a little. You were excited, but then suddenly, now you just feel a little silly. Stings. Here's another one. You hit a PR in the gym. You post about it. You're proud of your progress. But your closest people, they don't even acknowledge it. They go quiet. They roll their eyes or they joke, oh no, she's becoming one of those fitness girls now. And it hurts. Not because you need their approval, but because deep down, you just want their support. Or this one. You share a dream, starting a business, building a brand, creating impact, and they smirk. They say things like, must be nice. That sounds risky. Or even, who do you think you are? And that's the moment that you start shrinking. Not because the dream was too far off, but because the people around you were too small to carry it out with you. Here's the part that no one talks about. The way dreams die is rarely dramatic. It's not usually one big moment. It's the slow erosion of your own belief. You see eyes rolled, half-hearted responses, the be realistic conversations. You feel the tension when you start to shine. And little by little, you start laughing off your own vision. You start calling it, that's a silly idea. You downplay your own goals so you don't make anyone else uncomfortable. You stop chasing the calling because you're tired of having to defend it. That's what dream killers do. They wear you down until you decide that staying safe is easier than stepping out. But here's what I need you to hear. You were not created for safety. You were created for impact, for freedom, for purpose, and yes, for bold dreams that scare you a little bit. Now let's talk about the dream builders. Those are the people who light a fire in your soul. They see the best in you and they help you pull it out. They say things like, let's go. You were made for this. Text me when you hit that PR. I'm celebrating with you. God gave you that dream. Don't you go burying it now. You got what it takes. Now go take action. They don't just hype you up. They hold you accountable. They also say the hard things like, hey, love you this week. Your habits aren't matching your vision. You said you want to be confident in a bikini by summer, but your actions aren't showing it. Not criticism, it's alignment, love. And when you have people like that in your corner, you start to rise. You start taking bolder actions. You stop playing small. You start believing that maybe, just maybe, you were made for more. Can I remind you of something? That dream in your heart, the one that won't go away, you know what I'm talking about. It's not worldly, it's God-given. That desire to grow, to lead, to serve, to create, to build something that matters, it's not arrogance, it's obedience. But the enemy loves using dream killers to keep the kingdom women small. Because if he can't destroy you, he'll distract you. If he can't stop your calling, he'll surround you with voices that keep you silent. But your dreams weren't given to be silenced. They were given to be walked out. So here's my challenge for you. Audit your circle. Ask yourself, who do I spend the most time with? Do they believe in big faith, bold actions? Do they sharpen me or soften me? Do they remind me of who I'm becoming? Or are they trying to pull me back to who I used to be? Because if you are the most driven woman in the room, you're in the wrong room. It's time to stop giving front row access to people who don't clap when you win. It's time to surround yourself with women who remind you of what God spoke, even when life gets really loud. And if you don't have those women right now, go find them. Better yet, become them. Become her. Become the woman who builds the dream, who trains her body, who leads in her home, who builds wealth, who dares to rise, even when others stay stuck, who doesn't need applause to keep going because she's clear on her assignments. And as you become her, watch who starts to show up in your life. Because you're going to attract what you embody. So start building the future. Start honoring the vision. Start protecting your fire like your life depends on it, because believe it or not, it does. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to rise, to create, to run boldly toward the more that God has for you. So stop apologizing for your dreams. Start guarding them. Your circle is shaping your future, whether you want to believe it or not. So you got to choose wisely, and you got to build it bravely.
Strong, sexy, and unapologetically confident. That's the goal. Now go lift heavy, eat like you mean it, and act like the woman you're becoming. Talk soon.